I love saying no because now I don't have to worry about it. I move on. And there's multiple people out there, but now I know better. I got another story for you. A potential seller. Let's call him Dick. Dick was referred to me about 2-3 years ago. And I followed up, sole owner of a contract packaging company. And that's a different ballgame. And that's my background, by the way. I was a contract manufacturer, contract packager for my first 25 years of my career with 2 different businesses that I bought, grew, and sold in Minnesota. So I've been doing mergers and acquisitions and relationship networking in the industry for 50 years. It's my 50th year. So I have a lot of fun as a therapist. Yeah, as a therapist. Because sellers have no experience of selling their business. But they want to sell it on their terms. Very demanding. But at the end of the day, they think they have a gold mine. And it's always overestimated on the expectations from the valuation, the strategic buyer. They want to keep it quiet. What's the other big deal? They have an asking price that comes nowhere near a valuation. The other thing is they don't want to invest. They don't realize the cost, which is always minimum 6 figures to sell a business that's $20 to $50 million. It could be 7 figures in attorney fees and what we call professional fees. I ended up talking to Dick, introduced myself. I got to be real quiet. I contact him through mobile cell phones, not through emails, because I don't know how private it is. I was always referred by someone that knows this person. But I already received a couple red flags about the potential seller. Usually it's about how demanding they are, but I always think I could handle a bully. I really can. I was brought up with 7 brothers and 3 sisters. There's a lot of bullying going around, teasing, fighting, and so on. And my dad was tough. Italian, entrepreneur. People always came first. You can't be a dick to my father. It was all about ethics and integrity. And he loved the people because the people make you money. Bottom line. Okay? And your wealth is just doing the right thing. We had great customers, okay, which is 3M. 3M was a fantastic client for many years for my father and for myself. Well, anyway, going back to the story, so I talked to the guy. He answers the phone. And Dick is telling me, man, Rock, I got a great business. I'm thinking about selling it. I'm in a different situation now. My wife passed away. I'm in my 70s. And it's time for me to sell. I said, okay. The first question I have is, well, don't you have family in the business? Yeah, I have a son, but he's not qualified to run the business. He's just in customer service. I'm like, ooh, customer service, that's a good thing. He knows the clients. He might be the face of the company. I'm assuming the son is, in his 40s or so. Then he said, yeah, Rock, call me when I'm back. Always seems like he's gone. He's not at the company. And I'm assuming he's not running the day-to-day. So if he's not running the day-to-day, someone is running the show. So who is that? I didn't want to press him. So the second call was more or less, okay, let's talk about the size of the company. What do you do? Here's the website. I got kind of excited thinking that he's doing really well because where he's located, he's in the medical contract packaging. He's got some IP. He's got special equipment for packaging. I'm like, wow, he's got something special. Maybe my clients, the buyers, they're a strategic buyer. It would be a nice fit because of location, territory, region, market segments, and so on. We started talking, and I thought it was good to the point where I sent him an email. Usually when I start emailing, I ask the question, do you have a private email or is it a business email? Well, in this case, it was a business email. I says, okay. So I got his mobile number, I got his email, and I sent out, my bio, and here I am, this is what I do. In the meantime, my buddy that led me to the seller, he said, Rock, I didn't realize you went through all this. I'm going to highly recommend you because people don't realize how difficult it is to buy a family business. So anyway, I talked to Dick and I asked Dick what sales were. And what were your highest sales? Because I was shocked by it was probably a third of what my buddy thought they were. People talk, and it's 2-3 times more or less of reality. So I said, well, I was, kind of set back on this. Is all by phone. I was set back on that, and I said, well, what were your highest sales? And they were about double of that, only 2 years ago. And I'm like, that's a decline, man, 50%. And it's in plastics too. So plastics, we're talking paperboard now, and biodegradable products and paperboard and papers, and there's a shift. There's a huge shift in the world, not just straws, believe me. And it's going to paperboard. So I was like, wow, that kind of took some out of me, So I sent it, the website, I got the contract on my buyer, and they said, yeah, Rock, we want to look at it. Here it was a disappointment. And to me, that's my reputation. And thank God I didn't push it. I thought about my buyer going, oh my God, don't you see the big picture? This is a contract packaging. Maybe you don't understand. No, I let it go. I started worrying about my due diligence, because now I actually go out and look at these operations before I take on a project. These projects are mid 6 figures to 7 figures when they include real estate, because I handle the real estate. I'm a licensed broker also. I contact Dick again. I says, Dick, I'm excited about this. I'm going to come out and see you for a few days. And I got to go over my checklist to see if you meet the criteria that I'm looking for, so I could actually refer you to my buyers. My buyers turn deals around in less than 6 months if they're organized. If it's difficult, it's 9 months. I don't want difficulty. So I always have to prepare the seller. In this case, I got the seller and the buyer, and I'm thinking I could trust the seller because he was referred to me. It's off market. There's no successor. I want to go talk to the management, because if it's sold, the buyer's out. Because if he can't grow it and he's not the face of the company, they got to stash it with human capital, people that could grow this business. Buyers don't buy businesses unless they got a lot of potential. So I sent the request, and something I learned over the last 10 years is when you have an aggressive older gentleman that's kind of been his own man, in a way I call it lucky in his business, times have changed. And if you didn't keep with the changes and with new technologies and the new products and so on, the new raw materials and so on, you're going to lose it, man. You're going to lose it. You might as well, just look at the EBITDA, because that's what a buyer's going to look at. Of course, the seller, no way, Rock, I'm taking 3 times more of that out than what it really shows. Well, guess what? That's the way you did it. You already took the money out. So why expect it? We talked about the real estate. We talked about a successor. And I said, I'm going to come out and do my due diligence. And this is on my dime. Not their dime, my dime. Why? It's kind of like a lawyer looking at a risk benefit contingency deal. That's what they do. They say, okay, if I take this deal, it's going to cost me $200,000 in legal fees, but I'll get a 50% return. They'll get, $1 million for an example. So that's a good deal. That's what I look at. Okay, it's going to cost me $25,000 to $50,000 to put it in place, but I'll do $600,000 to $1 million, and I should do it in a year. I could do that. Okay, with my team. And basically, I'm a therapist. I hold their hands and so on. I take the beat down and so on because it's very emotional. A lot of these guys have no clue of what they're getting into and how much work it takes, and that there's going to be an additional cost of $300,000 to $500,000 to get lawyers and tax advisors and so on. They just don't have a clue. And that's why I try to prepare them for it. I do have a checklist that you could go online to track down if you're contemplating. The other thing is, I look at it where it takes 2 years. You have to prepare 2 years in advance to sell your business to do it right. So these guys that want to sell it right away, I look at it like this. I want to make sure that the wife or the spouse or the family knows who I am just in case they die. I got experience. That's another story. So here I'm talking, trying to communicate, and he calls me, and a lot of these guys don't like to use text. They don't want to have emails because they don't want to have a paper trail if there's any lawsuits for whatever reason. And I understand that. That's why I stay away as much as possible until I do get a contract. And I have my attorney look at the contract, let him know the seriousness of it, what's involved, here's my fee, am I covered in this contract? Which costs, $500, $1,000 to refresh it. So anyway, he started telling me, no, you only need 24 hours. So come in, have lunch, you leave. I'm like, that doesn't meet my trust criteria, my requirement. For you to do business with me, it takes the 3 T's. I got to trust you. You got to trust me. You got to be transparent. I got to see all the facts. Got to have everything prepared for the buyer. And there's a timeline. You have to meet the timeline. Because I've seen LOI signed and not get to the finish line because somebody changed their mind. So I have a fee where if you walk away from a proposal and an offer, a legitimate, reasonable offer, we call that a termination fee. I get a fee for that. I'm not going to do this for nothing. But I want to make sure that I want to do business with this guy. So Dick was very abusive, condescending, and tried to bully me. Like I mentioned, I don't get bullied. I can be a bully if I'm being bullied. But you know what? I've learned better. Because I'm representing not only my company, my team, my friend that referred me. So that told me a lot. Dick told me that he hired a guy under emotion, paid him mid-6 figures, didn't perform. After 9 months, he fired him. Okay. You picked the wrong horse. Don't blame the person. It's like getting a coach. NFL. You sign him on for 2-3 years, and if you fire him before, they still get paid. You see? And you change your mind, you change your mind. The second deal was he went out and got a valuation done by a non-certified valuation company. They delivered a valuation a third of what he thought he was going to get. Well, he delivered the facts. He paid for the valuation. The facts are the facts. That's called transparency. He started bitching about the last 12 months, he picked the wrong horse twice. Well, I'm a thoroughbred. The odds of me winning and scoring and closing are very high. very high. In fact, the last couple of years, 100%. And my clients are asking me for more. So I slept on it. And after the, in a way, the condescending, the screaming, the expectations, I said to myself, can I really make a difference and bring a value without just over delivering what I promised, but he's never going to pay me. So I sent in an email after about 3 days because he didn't finish one of his promises, never got back to me on it. I thought, this guy's he's not going to keep his promises. I sent him an email and I said, listen, I can't help you. You're not ready. Let's let it go. I didn't want to embarrass myself or just walk away. Anyway, he called me. I swear to God, he couldn't have read the email. And he just got pissed off at me. And just went off on me like he had already retained me. He already paid me 6 figures. This guy gave me nothing except heartache. And I had to go back to another client that I experienced very similar to him, that I didn't trust, that wasn't transparent and did not meet my timelines. But I didn't walk away on that one. And it cost me dearly, financially, emotionally, and close to my reputation. So I just said, listen, I can't help you. But I'll tell you what. You really need to grow that business to get back on track. You're going to need at least 1.5 years, 2 years of increase in sales before you're going to get what you think you're going to get. And the only way you're going to do that, because you haven't done it, you need a sales force. I referred my guy that I trust, that's been transparent and works on a good timeline. I gave him a heads up. I gave him an introduction that this guy's going to be difficult to work with, but he needs this type of position. Make sure that he documents it for you. Otherwise, he's going to blame you. So I don't know if you're going to be able to find this type of a guy. And to be honest with you, strategically, who's going to work for this guy, Dick? Nobody. His son doesn't even want to work for him. For someone to come in and turn it around, you're going to have to pay big bucks. And then, like in my case, I would ask for an additional incentive for success. And it'll be a high percentage, by the way. And I would have to look at it and say, you know what? I wouldn't work for this guy. How did it end? I called the friend of mine that referred me, and I told him the truth. I said, this is what I did. And he laughed, and he goes, you know, Rock, he called me this morning asking if I could trust you and if Rock is the right guy. Of course Rock's the right guy, but now he's going to eat crow. We laughed together. I said, listen, I could put a strategy together for this guy, give him a report, and you could implement it because you know what to do with the new special materials and the new equipment and so on to grow. But it's going to take a couple of years. He goes, yeah, I agree with that. Well, the guy's in his late 70s. He's going to die. He's never going to pay that kind of money to turn it around. He's really high in the real estate. The real estate's not that big of a deal. So that's it. So I just wanted to let people know that there's a lot of dicks out there. You got to be real careful. And I am so happy I'm in the right position at my age and experience and so on. But if I could do it all over again, I don't think I would, because I would have to learn all this shit and get kicked in the balls more than once. I learned, but now I love saying no, because now I don't have to worry about it. I move on. And there's multiple people out there very much like Dick that I could talk to. But now I know better. I got to wait. So in the meantime, I'm doing my YouTubes. I'm giving you my experience, my knowledge. I'm coaching and mentoring Vietnamese people. And it's so much fun. That's my story of Dick. Dick, the potential seller. I could pretty much predict what's going to happen. But we'll save that for another video. As you know, I always finish with always bring joy. All right? I want to add, always keep your promises. Always bring joy. And I'll talk to you soon. This is Rocco.